Alright, so here is what I drew just to kind of work it all out in my head. I had to put it on paper. Didn't want to mess anything up, so I made sure that I put it together. So initially I'm going to set it up with 12 panels in 2 groups, because the inverter has an input for PV1 and PV2. So it's going to be a series parallel wiring with 3 panels wired together in series, and then 2 of those groups, you see A and B here, will be wired together in parallel. And what that'll do is give me input 1, and then the other group will give me input 2. So right now what I'm doing is I had to lay it out and measure to do all the jumpers and cables to connect them all together properly. I need 1 20-foot of each red and black, 2 10-foot of each red and black, and 1 2-foot of each red and black. Here's all my goodies that I got to use. I'm using these connectors here, which they're made where they're all watertight. Use these, handy dandy little tool, and when I tighten this up, it has a little O-ring inside there that seals it, and then that's a waterproof connector. And you've got this female connector here and the male connector there. You see there's another O-ring on there, so then when they plug into each other, it's also watertight sealed. In the mess. Alright, so I made 4 I don't know if you want to call them Y connectors, I guess, and they're based on this drawing that I showed you earlier. So for example, negative here is going to need a long, or well, not long, this is the 20-foot length all the way across. This would be a 10-foot length, and then this would be a real short little 2-foot length. So in this case I need a 10-foot to connect and a 2-foot, and then those come together here. It's not on the picture, but in reality they're all coming to the center to a junction box, and then it's physically it's going to actually run right out the middle back to the house. So for that example there, it's going to be a 10-foot and a 2-foot, and then the terminal connector. And that's what this is right here. Terminal connector. Put a little shrink tube on the end. So if you see, you got the line here, goes around to that short one, and then that continues all the way down for the 10-footer. And I've got basically the same setup for red and black. So that's a 10 and a 2. This is a 10 and a 20. And then this is a 10 and a 2. And this is a 10 and a 20. All right, so here's what I did. Not completely done, just connecting it all. So that goes there, boom. So you got 1, those are connected together, 2, those are connected together, 3, and then there's the other end of that one. So that makes 1 cell, if you wanted to say that. 1, 2, 3. And then the next set here, you got that wire, boom, 1, and then those are connected together. There's number 2, and those are connected together, and then there's number 3, and that wire coming off connects to that guy. So that one right there, that connects those 2 cells. So that 3 is 1 cell, this 3 is another cell. Together all 6 of those are going to make array number 1 or array number 2, whichever, doesn't really matter. And so they come together here and here, and then that is my positive and my negative that's going to run all the way back to the house over there. So we have 14 panels. I'm hooking this up with 12 of those 14, and then we're going to see how that works. It should be 4.4 kilowatts that these 12 panels give us. I believe that'll be plenty of power for this system, and if that is the case, then I can use these other 2 panels in conjunction with those 4 panels that we already have on the 24 volt system, and just give a little more power to that, which I'll be using in my workshop. Let me show you what I got going here with the voltage. And what you're going to notice here is I made a little boo-boo with my connectors. When I built these, I put the wrong connector on the ends of the black and the red based off of the polarity of the solar panels. So what does that really mean? Nothing really, other than the color of these wires doesn't match up with, you know, red is positive and black is negative. In this case, it's the opposite. So you see, when I put my test leads on there, I put black to red and red to black, and that gives me a positive voltage reading. And it shows that right now, with very little sunshine, 114 volts that this array is putting out. Like I said, the colors are backwards here. I know what it is, and since it's my system, I'm okay with it. I'll just make sure I plug the red will be negative, black will be positive, and on the other end I'll make sure that it all lines up. So that one's 114.4, 114-ish. All right, and so making sure these don't contact each other, because that wouldn't be very good. We're gonna move over here, and I'm gonna check this one. And because I made these connections, these wires all the same. It's the same thing here. So watch, I'll show you. This one and this one, I'm actually going to hook up black to black and red to red with my test leads. And still 114.1, 114-ish. But you see it's got a little negative sign there. That tells me that my polarity is reversed. So red to red, black to black, tells me my polarity is reversed. So that just means that this is the negative and this is the positive. Right in this general area here, we're going to put a little junction block, and then I'm going to have my 2 power lines coming from here all the way back over there to the house. A real quick safety, this is possibly something that can save you a lot of pain, potentially damage, and or money. Might sound like common sense, but I'm going to throw it out real quick. See that? It's temporarily just covering those up. I put one on there, one on there, right? So that way, when I've got 114 volts, those things don't accidentally contact each other or something else that they're not supposed to be contacting, and, you know, short out, fry something, damage the panels, or get me shocked, right? We don't need that. I've been shocked before. It actually can be fun, but it's not recommended. Started snowing on me out there, but I did get all the wiring outside between the panels done. How you like to look? It's like Mountain Man Eminem. Get it? Mountain Man Eminem. What? I know, I'm a genius like that. Can't help myself. So now let's take a look at what I got to do for wiring up inside, since outside is not being so friendly. So let's go check it out. Okay, so we still have that all connected, which is temporary. So this is the inverter slash charge controller. It's an all-in-one system because that's replacing those 2 boxes. So this is an inverter, this is a charge controller, MPPT solar charge controller, and as you can see, we're getting a charge right now. Even though it's snowing outside, we're still getting a little charge, which is nice. But those 2 are all wrapped into one right here. It can actually do 110 and 220, which is a part of the reason why we did what we did as far as upgrading. There's an AC output. That's what we will be using to connect to our circuit breaker panel and the rest of the house. Then you have PV1 input. That's photovoltaic PV. And then PV2 input. As this gray wiring, that's actually the same wiring that I'll be using coming in from the new system. And if you look under that gray shielding, you have a white wire, a bare copper ground wire, and a black wire. PV1, PV2 under this panel. I'll have to take that off here in a second. It's going to be a black, I'll make that my negative. White, I'll make that my positive. And then those will connect on there. And then my battery terminal we'll have a positive and a negative that'll be red and black, which will be very similar to this, red and black. However, it goes to these batteries. So these two batteries being 48 volts, 200 amp hours each, will be wired together so that we still have 48 volts and 400 amp hours. And if I break out my handy dandy calculator, we got 48 volts, 400 amps, 19.2 kilowatts, which is a pretty good amount of storage. That's double what we have in the batteries for our 24 volt system from the solar panels. We tripled up on that. We had actually it's more than tripled, because we currently have 4 300 watt panels, and we're going to 12 370 watt panels. So not only is it 3 times the number of panels, but each panel also has 70 watts more power. So the input from that is 4.4 kilowatts. And then the storage on the batteries is doubled, and that should give us well in excess of the amount of power that we're going to need on a daily basis. If the sun is, shining at all, we'll get really good input. If it's a cloudy day, we'll still be getting good input. That's the nice thing about new solar panels. Good quality new solar panels, they get a charge even on a cloudy day. If you have that MPPT charge controller, it's able to monitor the input, and it's able to adjust that to maximize every last bit of energy that's coming in. So it'll adjust that voltage and amperage in order to be able to give you something even on a cloudy day. So yeah, now I got to figure out how to mount that big old monster on the wall, and figure out the positioning and how I'm going to set up my battery packs and all that good stuff. And I want to have this figured out, sort of drawn up, before I go disconnecting anything from what's currently there, because we're still using it. That's what these lights are. That's what everything else is that we're doing right now. It's all powered through what's currently connected with a 24 volt system. So I can't just unhook all that and then leave it, halfway done. I have to plan this out to where I know exactly how this is going to go in, have everything set and ready to go, and then take apart the old system and connect the new system so that we have a flawless transition. Don't want any break in service. We want to just keep it going. So all right, let's figure it out.